Good morning, everyone. We are back out here on the duck impoundment project. And for those of you that are new to the channel, this is a property that I've been working on out here for the owner for almost a year and a half now, doing various mulching and ditching projects. But he hired another company that's got a lot bigger equipment than I do to do a 5-acre duck impoundment. And they have brought out some really big mulching machines. And we are hanging out again with Brooks here for a bit. And he's on that big Cat 323 with a Denis Cimaf DAH-150E mulcher head. So we're gonna hang out with him. I'm gonna show you guys kind of what we got here. I can put my tripod down. So this is kind of like the back line of the impound here. There's gonna be a bit of a buffer here. And then this little middle section they've got yet to mulch out. The pre-noth is over there. They had an some kind of emissions sensor issue with it. So the service tech is on its way. He's on his way. Take a look at that thing. That machine, they just bought it. It's not brand new. It's fairly new. I think it's got about 200 hours on it or something like that. Probably it's just a sensor thing. The stuff with these DEF and the sensors and emissions and all that stuff is it's a constant fight for guys out here that do this kind of work with this bigger equipment that's over 75 horsepower, and it requires DEF on all this newer equipment. It's just it's a headache for them. So it's not really the equipment's fault, because every equipment that's got DEF and sensors and stuff in it typically has issues. But we're gonna hang out with Brooks for a bit. We're gonna see some more of this monster in action, and then he might be getting on the dozer that's up there to maybe start working on the berm here. And we're gonna see what kind of progress they get done today. So let's check this thing out for a bit. One quick thing I want to address as well. Someone made the comment that why weren't they harvesting the timber out of here? Well, if you look at these trees, this is probably one of the bigger ones. So here's my hand, give you an idea. I mean, that tree, you know, is probably 3 inches right here at about 5 feet up. You know, it may be 6 inches at the bottom, 5 inches at the bottom, something like that. These aren't big trees. Most of them in here are very small. This one's probably an inch-ish. And they're all interspread with these gums. You know, there's whole sections in there where it's just nothing but gums, no pines. You couldn't really harvest this for timber. These aren't even hardly big enough to take for slash. The gums are basically worthless at the size that they're at. There's maybe one in here that's like that size. I think it's dead. So this is, you couldn't do anything with this anyway. And this is not a healthy forest. Someone made that comment and he's right. This is all volunteer growth. At one point years ago, this was all farm. This was all clear-cut farmland. And then whoever had this neglected it for about 10 or so years before the owner bought it. And all of this is just grown up in these farm fields. This is all volunteer growth. And you can see all of this stuff is so packed in here tight together. Look how tightly the trees are packed in together. They're all just competing and choking each other out. Look how tightly packed these pine trees are. These will never, like they are, never really flourish because they're just too packed in here. They'll never get very big. And if they do, it'll take a long time for this forest to mature. So what they're doing here by taking all this out, they're actually building a duck habitat, which will help support waterfowl growth and a lot of other wildlife species in this area. As the habitat here becomes more desirable, you'll see more different species of wildlife in here. So that's what they're trying to do. This is not deforestation. We're actually trying to help encourage a more diverse wildlife in this area. And that's what this is all about. So I know you guys see all these trees going down and everyone's getting mad. Well, not everybody, but some people. But this is really about trying to improve this property and make a better habitat for the wildlife. Unfortunately, some of these little trees that are not really doing anything have to go to make that possible. Just wanted to clarify that. Okay, so one thing I forgot to mention with this head on the last video, it is not hydraulic. It is PTO. The head is PTO driven like on a tractor with a bush hog. So the engine's back here. A drive shaft comes out of the engine, goes to a torque converter, which is, I guess, sort of like works as like a transmission. And then another shaft comes out of the torque converter and goes to the head, where it has a PTO in there, and that's how it turns the head. So there's direct transfer of the engine power basically to the head. Now the drives back here, that's hydraulic. These final drives, the way it's powered, is hydraulic, but the head is PTO. So it's kind of like basically a big farm tractor, just way more beefed up on tracks. So interesting. When I first saw this thing, I thought it was hydraulic too, but it's actually a PTO. All right, everyone. So I'm getting ready to get out of here for today. The service tech was able to get the pre-noth running for a bit. It ran for about 20 or 30 minutes, and then it threw that same code again. Something about the depth pressure in it. Before, I think it was an oil pressure sensor. It might have been, is it oil or depth pressure, one of the two. So he's back working on it again right now. I was gonna try to get some footage of it, but it didn't run for very long before I could get some footage of it. But I got some cool footage of the 323 running, which was awesome. And that was really cool. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. And I don't know if this thing will be back out here or not when I come back out here next week, because like I said, I'm starting a whole bunch of projects out here starting this coming Monday. So I don't know if that thing will still be here or not, but if not, they'll still be out here working most likely, digging this thing out and getting it graded up. So I'm hoping we can get some more footage, and then we'll definitely see what it looks like when it's all said and done. So, but stay tuned, because I got a whole bunch of more mulching and brush cutting down here. I think I'm bringing both the machines down here on either Saturday or Sunday, but it's supposed to start raining tonight, and it's going to rain off and on for the next 4 days. So all this powder dry that we've got out here is getting ready to go away. Sorry, that went all over the camera. There we go. So all that's getting ready to go, and when it gets wet out here, it gets wet. And when it's dry, it's powder dry, but when it gets wet, there's a lot of kind of clay in the soil out here, and it doesn't drain very well, and it gets wet and yucky and gunky. Maybe that's better. For me, that's better, being a little wet than this powder, because when you start mulching it and brush cutting it, man, all that dust just goes right into the skid steer or the Mini. So I'm hoping it actually stays a little wet when I'm out here. And if I happen to get stuck in the mud or something like that, I'll have both machines. I can pull myself out. And they've got some big equipment. I'm sure they wouldn't mind helping me out too. So hopefully it kind of stays a little wet. All right, well, I am out of here. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Stay tuned, a lot more stuff to come. I hope I get to hang out with these guys a lot more on more projects, get some more footage of this Raptor. Unfortunately, it's just having some sensor issues, and that's what we just have to deal with sometimes out here with the emissions and the DEF and all that stuff. So that's life, and we just got to live in it. So I am out of here. I will check you guys later. Bye, everybody.